Okay, fellow Chassidim around the world, I'm getting requests all over the place. What do you say about what happened in the 70s, tunnels, Harchava, Kiddush Hashem, Chilul Hashem, and all these stuff? So I had my initiative answer on Zev Brenner that day, and I got phenomenal feedback that everybody liked what I said, etc. But there was just a problem with his sound system. I don't know if it was my cell phone or his sound system. So that was a problem over there. But I want to now you can say the dust settled and it's over 2 weeks ago, to share some thoughts and what we can learn and reflect on what happened. So I'll start like this. First of all, I want to start off with the raw facts. Dvarim kaviyasam, no feelings, no opinions, no emotions. Just start off with the raw facts in the story, what happened. So what happened was we have 770, and the Rebbe spoke about Archavan, and even just 770 is too full. So everybody agrees it has to be expanded. Now Bachram went about 6 years ago, I would say, 5-6 years ago roughly, on their own initiative and started digging out the adjacent property behind 770 facing Union Street, aka under the Kingston Viber Show, and started digging it out on their own initiative. And they started more and more, and with the time, till about last summer, they dug out about a third of the area. Now, about last summer, you have some Bachrim that figured it's moving too slow. They want to dig everything out, and they bring in Mexicans into the picture, and they work fast with a tunnel system going all the way into the mikveh to pull out all the earth, and they dig it out. Fine. Then you have one of the neighbors behind 770 hears the noise because they were digging in a fast pace, and he contacts the Gabayim. I'm hearing noises, what's going on? They go check, they see there's this whole hollowed out area in preparation for the Harchava. Or I don't know if they figured what it's about or what it's not about, that area. Anyways, so the Gabayim contact Marcus and Chinuch via their lawyers, each other's lawyers, and they come to some sort of agreement that if the Gabayim will stuff up the hole, we will not mention it in court and will not play out to either side, and we'll just pretend like it didn't happen. And that's their agreement that they work on. Fine. So they call in a cement truck to fill up the hole. Now, prior to the cement truck coming, the Bachram already opened up a hole from this under the Viber Shul dugout area where the shul is. They opened up the hole of bricks, and they put a mattress there, and only what was between this new opened up area and the shul was the panels. That's what the Bachram thought. Now, at some point, the mattress were removed, and that hole was added bricks. So we go back to the present day 2 Mondays ago, and the Bachram find out that there's a cement truck coming. So they come, they figure we'll peel off that layer of panel and we'll expose the area. People will see it's not a tunnel. People will see it's a Harchava, or it was a desperate attempt to stop the filling up of the stuffing up with concrete of this dugout area. They come to peel off the layer of panel, and they see there's recently put bricks, so they knock out the bricks. The wall busts open, and that is the raw facts without any feelings, without any opinions. Now, I want to focus on the aspect over here. I'm not going to talk about the actual Harchava, because everybody by now already, either by political association or by ignorance or whatever it is, most people already have don't know what happened, but they have a definite opinion what was right or what was wrong, and who we have to kick out and who we have to kick in, and who's wrong and who's horrible and who's evil. So I'm not going to discuss that, but I want to discuss one aspect called the Chilul Hashem part of this, which actually the anti-Meshachistan have been chewing off the Meshachistan's ears for 30 plus years about Chilul Hashem. And every time we say Yechi, it's Chilul Hashem. And every time the Rebbe's Mashiach is Chilul Hashem, Chilul Hashem, Chilul Hashem. So I think I want to actually bring up this topic. So there's 3 aspects to the whole Chilul Hashem thing. First of all, the fact that it was called tunnels. We have a website called Crown.Info that they were the ones to break the news, and they called it tunnels. And they connected it to the Hamas war, which I believe they owe an apology to all those Yidden, all those Yidden in captivity for over 100 days, actually captivity in a tunnel. They owe them apology for comparing this to that, but That's my own personal opinion. So we have Kronitz Info coining it term tunnel. Now we have another thing. We have the establishment of Chabad, spokespeople for Chabad, who, when the news breaks, wall opens up, whatever you want to call it, instead of explaining what happened, which there were many shluchim who did that. There were shluchim who, when their Mekuravim came over to them and said, what happened? They just said it was an expansion done without permits. Police came to shut it down. Okay, very nice. Everybody knows every fourth property here in Brooklyn has some sort of illegal expansion or something. So instead of explaining, they just start condemning and condemning and condemning. Now, if you want to condemn, it's up to you. It's your opinion. You can say, you can explain and then condemn. But if people say, what happened? Instead of saying what happened, you just start saying, they're evil, they're terrible, they're terrorists, they're whatever. But what happened? They're evil and terrorists, and we're condemning them. But what happened? So that's aspect number 2, that we have the establishment of Chabad helped the conspiracy spiral out of control by not responsibly explaining and just condemning. Number 3, we have everybody standing around with their cameras when the wall opens up and taking videos, etc., etc. So these are 3 aspects, that pieces of puzzle that come together that cause this massive outburst of quote-unquote Chilul Hashem. So my opinion, what we need to go forward, I'm not going to look backwards about water under the bridge. Let's talk about forward. 3 things need to happen for these 3 parts of the puzzle. We have to BDDS Crown Heights and Info, means boycott, destroy, dismantle, and shut down Crown Heights and Info. We should not advertise, not use them, not have any association, don't send them any articles. And I want to, at this point, actually call out to anash.org for doing the responsible thing and not writing any Bashmutzika articles. Number 1. Number 2, those who are irresponsible from the incompetent people in the Chabad establishment who irresponsibly responded to this event should resign. Now, I want to just put up a story there. In Tav Shalom Adala, there was a story with Rabbi Beryl Rifkin and his son-in-law, I forgot his first name, Shurin, and he wrote in a whole article in the foreword how Lubavitch is terror brigade. There's terror in Lubavitch because there was some Bachram who stuffed his father-in-law's lock, whatever. The story is well known. Now, the Rebbe came out fiercely against publicizing in Chutza, outside of Lubavitch, that we have our dirty laundry and our terror in Lubavitch. I don't know of anybody kicking out those Bachram who stuffed the lock. I never heard that they were kicked out of Lubavitch. Actually, today they're big librarians and Rabbanim and Chashav people in Lubavitch. So, but that person, Shurin, who wrote in the newspapers that there's terror in Lubavitch, he's the one that the Rebbe cursed out. And not only that, the Rabbi Rifkin, his father-in-law, the Rebbe asked him to make a svarim from his Chidush Torah, called it Tiferet Tzin. The Rebbe personally asked him to make the sefer. He makes the sefer, he gives it into the Rebbe. Imagine this. And the Rebbe, instead of accepting the sefer, sends it back and says, I don't want your sefer. Why? Because in the Hagdam of his sefer, he thanks his son-in-law, the one that wrote in the newspapers that Lubavitch has terror. So, some of them I personally know, and they mean well, but if they cannot do their job, they should resign and give it over to someone more responsible to represent Lubavitch in the newspapers and in Chutz. And number 3 is all these people, all these chachamim who stood with their phones taking videos of the action. Now, you want to say we're in 2024 and everyone has a smartphone and everyone has an iPhone and everyone's taking a video. So I just want to remind you guys of a story of a king that comes to town and there was a big barrel of wine, and everybody was meant to pour in an expensive bottle of wine. And everybody thought he's going to be the one guy that's going to pour the water. So the nimshal is, you can't say that because everyone else is not, I'm not going to do. You have to focus on yourself. Look at the Rebbe's picture, or look at yourself in the mirror, look at the Rebbe and say, did I spread this story or did I not? And in the future, there was once a shliach here a couple of years ago that after the banquet, he was sitting and he said, F you, I'm a shliach, whatever, it's not important. Think 4 times in the future before you send out any video. Is this something that the Rebbe would want out in the public, or this is something that's going to bring Mashiach closer? Is it something going to add in Yiddishkeit, or is this stam and Nadishkeit? Because these phones are at best they're klippas neka. So are we going to use it for the good, or are we using it for the bad? Please, in the future, try to be more responsible. Thank you. I'm Mendel Gerlitzky, and I approve of this message.